Hey everyone, I'm back with another video. I'm going to give you guys an arms warrior guide for Cataclysm. This video is going to be extremely straightforward, easy to use for all skill levels. It's going to include talents, glyphs, and a rotation for both solo and AoE targets. I'm also going to be planning on doing a protection and fury warrior guide as well, so be sure you're tuned in for that. Keep in mind I'm going to have a script for this. There's a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. I'm not going to remember it off the top of my head. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start, obviously, we're going to click our arms here. We're going to put our 3 points in War Academy. No explanation there. Increased damage. We're going to take Blitz as well. We're going to get that 10 additional rage. We're going to go ahead and go right to Deep Wounds. Grab that 3. We're also going to grab Tactical Mastery because for your rotation, you're going to be swapping for Overpower all the time. Keep that Tactical Mastery. Keep that rage flowing. We're going to go ahead and put 3 in Taste for Blood. Important talent, maybe your most important talent just because of your rotation purposes. We'll go over that in a little bit. Grab your Sweeping Strikes, your Impale. Now, I'm not doing specific orders. I'm just going row by row. You can, if you really want to min-max and choose your talents at different levels, it doesn't really matter. I'm just picking what you need to be picking. We're going to put 2 in Blood Frenzy, 1 in Deadly Calm, and we're also going to grab Improved Slam by 2 points in there. Lambs to the Slaughter, probably your most important talent, 3 points in there, 1 in Juggernaut. You're going to go ahead and put 2 in Sudden Death as well. You're going to keep that 10 rage after your execute. Helps a lot for, if you execute maybe a little too early, that target's still live. That 10 rage will give you a heroic strike. We'll talk about that later. Go ahead and take Throwdown, 2 for Wrecking Crew. Grab your Blade Storm. Now here, some people like to put 3 in Insight. I'm going to put 1 in Insight because I'm assuming you're going to be AoEing targets a lot. So we're going to go ahead and put 2 in Blood and Thunder. Now, Blood and Thunder is important because it gives you a 100% chance to stack Rend onto other targets that you Thunderclap. We'll go over that again in a little bit. So 1 in Insight and 2 in Blood and Thunder. I'm going to come over to the Fury Tree, grab Cruelty. I'm going to grab Battle Trance, 3 in there. And then you have 2 extra points. I just put them in Executioner that increased attack speed after an execute target. Pretty big. Extremely easy. Extremely, I'm going to keep these talents up just so you guys can look while we're just discussing the whole video. You can go over it. I am going to scroll down just a little bit here to grab our glyphs. Now we have 3 glyphs for each. We have our Prime, Major, and Minor. Starting with our Prime here, we're obviously going to go with our first one, Mortal Strike. Self-explanatory, and take that increased damage in Mortal Strike. You're going to find a lot of talents in your arms tree is literally just buffing your Mortal Strike. We're going to go ahead and grab Glyph of Overpower. Same exact thing, increases damage. You're always going to be using Overpower, especially with Taste for Blood. You no longer have to wait for a dodge. You're literally just pumping Overpower. It's fantastic. Now we're going to go ahead and grab Slam. Increases the critical strike of your Slam. Now you are going to find in my rotation that there is extremely low priority for Slam, but if you ever do have to use it, it's definitely buffed, with your improved Slam and then Glyph of Slam as well. We're going to head over to our major glyphs here. We're going to grab Glyph of Cleaving. Let's see right here. Yep. We're going to grab Glyph of Cleaving. Now this increases the number of targets your cleaves hits by 1, but you're going to find out in your AoE rotation, you really aren't going to be using it that much, or if at all. But, for lower level, it'll be great. Now, we're going to go ahead and grab Sweeping Strikes. Rage cost reduced of your Sweeping Strikes by 100%. Literally costs no rage to use Sweeping Strikes. That's great. Then we're going to go ahead and grab Thunderclap here. It increases the radius of your Thunderclap by 2 yards. Now, we did just talk about that earlier, why Thunderclap is important. Thunderclap, extremely overrated talent in Classic. In Cataclysm, not so much. Decent damage. Good for your AoE rotation, and plus it stacks the Rends on, so you don't have to waste rage, tabbing and rending essentially. We're going to go ahead and go to our minor glyphs. These are not that great. We're going to go ahead and grab Glyph of Command. We're going to grab Glyph of Berserker Rage, which just generates 5 rage when used. Could always be useful. And then we have our Furious Sundering, which reduces the cost of Sunder Armor by 50%. So you no longer have your raid leaders screaming at you to throw Sunders on, but you're too busy because you just want to parse, and sweat. Well, now you have no excuse because there's, 50% reduced rage on your Sunder Armor. So now you really have no excuse to Sunder, and your raid leader won't yell at you. So again, I'm going to go up here and go back to the talents. Now for our rotation, let's just start with this is extremely basic single target rotation. If you really want to critique it in min-max, definitely look at other options, but this is your most basic, easiest rotation. So we're going to go ahead and start with our rend. And if you have 3 points, which you do in Lamb of the Slaughter, you'll never have to apply rend ever again on that target. And you'll see why here in a little bit. Next is your Colossus Smash. Outside of rend, Colossus Smash benefits all of your abilities damage. Your Taste for Blood after you use for rend, again, Taste for Blood up here makes it so overpower you can just use it. Your Taste of Blood will proc right about at the same time you use a global cooldown, so your Colossus Smash. So using Smash here makes the most sense because you're going to get the most use out of that damage ability upgraded. So then after that, you're going to use your Mortal Strike, and you're just going to use that on cooldown. Not really much to explain here. It's easily your best, most powerful ability other than Overpower, and especially with all these talents that buff the shit out of it. And then you also have, Glyph of Mortal Strike. Mortal Strike does insane damage. You're just going to always spam that on cooldown. So first we have our Rend, our Colossus Smash, and then our Mortal Strike. Now this is where it gets a little iffy, and you can, debate when you want to really maximize your overpowers. But after you do those three, you're going to go to Overpower. So you should have your Taste of Blood up. You're ready to use it. Cast your Overpower. Now, in theory, if you do this correctly and you have your rotation down, what you should be doing is sitting at your Berserker stance for about 8 to 9 seconds. Swap to Battle Stance to use that Overpower, and then use that Overpower again if you time the cooldown on Taste for Blood. Now, I know that sounds a little confusing, but the Taste of Blood reprocs itself every 6 seconds, so 2 ticks of Rend. So if you time it perfectly, you can Overpower and then get an instant another free Overpower, use it twice, and then go back to Berserker stance, and then to just restart that rotation. So the only times you really should be using Slam or Heroic Strike is for Rage Dumps. If you have nothing else and all of your abilities are on cooldown, then you pop the Heroic Strike. You use the Slam. So now when you're in Execute phase, it's a little bit different. You're going to use your Colossus Smash first, your Mortal Strike, Execute, and then because of sudden death, you're going to have 10 extra Rage off the Execute. That's when you can use your Heroic Strike. So again, your Execute phase is going to be going more like Colossus Smash, Mortal Strike, Execute, and then a Heroic Strike for that remaining Rage. Now, a very basic AoE rotation, again, these are very basic rotations, is you're going to start with Rend, and since we spec'd into Blood and Thunder, right after that Rend, you're going to Thunderclap because it's going to apply all those Rends onto your target. Beautiful. Now you're doing maximum damage on that as possible. Next, you're going to pop your Recklessness if you have it, and then Blade Storm. Obviously, if you don't have Recklessness, to avoid that or just negate that, but then use Blade Storm. After that, you're going to use Sweeping Strikes on rotation. Obviously, only use this cooldown when you're not in your Blade Storm window. And then you're going to Whirlwind. Now, if you Whirlwind in Cataclysm and it hits more than 4 targets, your cooldown gets reduced of Whirlwind by 4 seconds. That's key to remember. And then you only want to use Cleave when you really have excessive Rage. So again, for AoE basic rotation, Rend, Recklessness, if you have it, Blade Storm, Sweeping Strikes, and then Whirlwind. Very simple. Again, very 2 basic rotations and very basic talent tree that I think is beautiful, and I'm going to use this on my warrior. But again, I'm going to go over some arms build, or some fury builds and some protection builds as well. I hope you guys found this video useful. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys another time.